Hey guys, this is JelliSoft here for my second tutorial in my C++ series. Right, I've got a lot to go through today. What I'm going to try and do is give you guys the knowledge to be able to produce a useful program. At the moment we're just like printing stuff on the screen, it's not really that cool, can't show your friends, etc. It's not going to happen. So that's my aim for today. Alrighty, I'm going to start off by telling you guys the data types that occur in C++. I understand there's a lot more than I'm going to mention, and you guys can read more in depth into the details of each of them. But for now, I'm going to concentrate on three main ones. There's the int, the double, and the char. The int I remember as being an integer data type, so any number without decimals. I remember the double as being a decimal number, any number with decimals. And the char value is a little bit more complicated. We won't be using it very often. Well, I haven't anyway so far, so I'll introduce that to you a bit later. Alright, and what we can do with these data types is manipulate them using operators, standard operators that you find in normal mathematics. So you've got the plus, the minus, the times, and the divide. Alright, pretty self-explanatory, those four. But then C++ also accepts the modulus. Alright, that's represented by this little percent symbol. And if you guys remember, in division, you get remainders. Say 7 divided by 3 gives 2 remainder of 1. What the modulus operator does is it evaluates a division as the remainder. So if we go 7 mod 3, the computer will evaluate this as 1 because it'll be 2 with a remainder of 1. So it just steals the 1 from the expression. There we go. So that can be kind of handy. And the way C++ works is it has an order of operations. It prioritizes multiplication and division before addition and subtraction. Okay, so it's kind of like your calculator. When you input stuff in the calculator, it uses that order of operations. So one other thing that's nice to know with C++ is that it uses brackets. I'm going to show you guys the direct effect of this. If we go 4 plus 5 times 6 and then we go equals. Okay, with the cout function, another handy thing is that anything between two of these arrows that isn't in quotation marks, like we normally do, it will evaluate the statement. So if we go 4 plus 5 times 6, it will print out whatever this evaluates to, okay? Alright, and let's make another line too. Let's get rid of this here because that's not going to work for us. Let's go in brackets 4 plus 5 times 6 equals, and then let's go just copy and paste this here. Alright, and let's run this and see how we go. Alright, you can see that they're two completely different statements to C++, which is good because it follows normal conventional mathematics. Alright, the next thing I should tell you guys is that if we have an operation between two integer data types, only involving integer data types, the computer will produce an integer data type. So say we go 3 divided by 4, okay? and let's put this in here to be evaluated. Let's show you guys what happens with this. Alright, so it says it equals 0. Now, we all know it doesn't really equal 0. It equals 0.75. However, the computer evaluates it as an integer data type, and the only integer in the expression 0.75 is the 0 component. It truncates the 0.75, which might trick a few people up. It certainly tricked me up at the start. So what we can do with this is we can make one of these data types a double. So we could go 3 divided by 4.0 equals, and what this will do is it'll evaluate this expression as a double, okay? The double component of this expression is prioritized over the integer. So if you've got a double and an integer, the answer will be a double, which is kind of nice. Let's see what this gives us. See, there's our 0.75, that's what we need. Now, you've seen that C++ can be a little bit tricky with their data types. So they provide us with an additional way of manipulating the data types. And this is in the form of a static cast function. Okay, so the syntax, you just go static underscore cast, and then you put these two arrows, and inside the arrows we want to define what our output needs to be evaluated as. So if let's say we want a double to be outputted, and we'll go the expression 3 divided by 4. Alright, and let's print this on the screen. Right. Ooh, that's rough. So what if, oh, we've left this in here. There we go. Let's try that. Ah, okay, so we still get a 0, but we specified it to be a double. What's going on? Well, what it's done is it's evaluated what's inside these brackets to be 0, because it's still an integer divided by another integer. So inside the brackets is going to be 0. And the double value of a 0 is still a 0. It's not going to change. So to further show you guys the differences, what we should do is, let's put the 3 in brackets. So what this will do is it will make the value of 3 a double because it's inside the function static cast, and then it will divide by the integer 4. Now this should give us 0.75. There we go. Alright, so that's something, there's a few tricks with that, and it can be easily manipulated. Another thing we could do is we could specify an int value for a double data type. So let's go the 35.1. How awesome is that number? And then if we put that in our brackets as well, what we'll find is it'll truncate the 0.1 and just spit out 35, because that's the integer component. Right, there we go, see? It's all sweet. So although it's a little bit tricky and a little bit hard to get a hand on, it can be very useful. So I want to talk a little bit more about what this is. We all know that if we write something after these, in between these two arrows in a cout function, that it will evaluate it. So how come this doesn't get evaluated? Well, what's inside these two quotation marks is called a string. Now, a string is another data type, and it's just a whole heap of characters strung together. Simply put, at the moment in our studies we cannot manipulate this. It's just like a piece of text that we can put on the screen if we like. So something interesting to note is that it doesn't print out the quotation marks because they are the that's the syntax that tells C++ that whatever's inside them is a string. So in order to be able to, let's say we want to put quotations in our string, there's something called the escape character. Now this escapes the conventions and the operation of C++. So if we go backspace, quotation, this will print a quotation mark, hopefully. Let's see how it goes. Okay, there we go, there's our quotation. Something else that can be kinda handy is the new line operator. If you guys did the first question of my first tutorials exercises, you will have worked out that the ENDL moves the cursor to the next line. Similarly, a backslash-n also moves it to the next line. So if we go static class, let's see what this does. See how it's moved the cursor to the next line and then continues to print what we've got in the string? This is all due to this the backslash-n. It's a very handy way of manipulating how we read the text on the screen. I'm going to have to finish off there, guys, but I will be releasing a part 2 of tutorial number 2 for the next question set. Thanks heaps for listening, and tune in for my next video.